Hi and welcome back to the Woodwork Journey channel. So this is just going to be a quick one, hopefully. I've already done a bunch of videos on this Titan thickness planer. There are already videos online about how you replace the blades on these puppies. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's not really complex to worry about. But I'll show you how I go about it, and then we can get that done and call the Titan thickness planer series a finish. Alrighty, so you can see that this is going to need some cleaning up as well. We've got a little bit of kind of rust and what have you going on in here. But step one is to rotate the wheel, and so you can get to where the blades are. Now you do have to be careful that obviously the way this is going to spin is going to mean that this side, the left side, has the cutting blade. So what you want to do is you want to spin it clockwise, so you haven't got to worry about catching your fingers. I'm lucky that my blade is super dull, so I'm not going to get cut by it. But yeah, so turning it clockwise and towards you, like so, will mean that when you do get to the edge part, you can pull it in and not have not be grabbing the potentially quite sharp blades. So then we've got to just get all these screws undone, and the way these work is because they actually go into this bottom piece, and then as you undo them, they press themselves against the inside of this part here. And so what happens there is that sandwiches the blade that's here, so it can't move. So it's not the way that you would think of. You're actually doing them up, so you're doing a clockwise thing to loosen them. If that makes any sense. Right, let's get to it. This is really awkward to do when you're on camera, by the way. Now what you will find is when you get undoing these, the blade will start to come up, like you may have just seen right there. And that means that, or that's because you actually have springs underneath it that sort of keep a constant pressure on the blade. So we'll just be aware of that, because you don't want to lose them. And there we have it. That is that's the blade assembly going on right there. We take the blade off the back of it, ba-doomph. That's what we've got to deal with. This is the blade. This is the support that we'll need to clean, and in here you've got the two springs that I was talking about a moment ago. So if you take those out and put them somewhere safe, you're not going to lose them. Screwfix also sell these Erbauer blades, which are exactly the right size and all that sort of gubbins. So we haven't got to worry about any of that. So I'm just going to use these puppies for today. When it comes to this bar, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect and spiffy, but you do want to make sure that you don't have sort of a build-up of sap or whatever along there, because that's where the cutting blade is going to be coming out of, and you'll be wanting to clear out kind of dirt and debris and what have you fairly easily. So you don't want anything sticky going on in there. I think this will get a proper cleaning at some point in time. The one thing you do want to do is make sure that all of the debris and anything under here is cleaned out, because that's going to have or cause issues when it comes to the height of your blade. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a Stanley blade to clean up any kind of stuck on nonsense that's there, and there is a surprising amount of kind of just stuck grossness going on. But let me see if I can show you this, because this is part of the casing and it's rusted pretty badly pretty quickly. Don't know if you can see that right there, but that is that's getting pretty rusty, and that's around the bearing area of the side panel, I believe. So what I might do is just pop a little bit of dry lube around there as well. Alrighty, so that's pretty clean now. I've given that a little bit of a rub down with a cloth as well. I've also used a bit of degreaser on here and then covered it with dry PTFE lube as well, just because why the hell not. And right, so let's get these back in. So we get the springs that we took out earlier on, pop those back in the holes. The blades come in one of these funky little yellow casey jobbies, so just watch yourself when you undo it. However, once you do take them out, they will be covered in grease. So I'm going to go and get the degreaser out on these puppies as well. So what you should always do when you take your blade out, and the manual actually suggests this as well, look to see which direction the blade is orientated in the cutting block. So at the moment, the cutting block is like so, and you can see that the blade is going in the opposite direction. So what I've got to do is I've got to make sure that that is the same when I replace the blade, and that means that there's text at this point going on the outside. Is there any on the other side as well? Let's see. No, there's no text on that side, so text out. I took the fence off here just because I figured that it would be easier to show you about the install of this rather than fighting that. So all I've got there is just got all of the cutter and the cutter block and the blade together. We're going to pop that in there. We're going to try super hard not to cut ourselves because that is now a nice and sharp blade. We're then going to just tighten up some of these nuts just to get it snug, and then we can see about leveling it out. When you are putting the blade and the cutting block in, one of the other things to make sure that you're aware of is where it's situated along this axis along here, because if it's poking too far out one way, it's going to cause you problems. So make sure it's not touching the casing on either side. Before we start it up, we will give it a little spin to make sure that it does do what it should do. But yeah, it's just good practice to keep an eye on where you've got things for the time being. And we've still got the spring like we have right there. At that point, that's when we put on the little gadget that comes with the unit. And with that, we're just looking at pushing it all the way down, like so, and then we can tighten up going from the middle outwards. So what I do is I get them a little bit snug first. I'm not looking at getting them mega tight on the first run, but just snugging them up so they all have a bit of tension on them. And then we can work from the middle out and get more tension on there. And I'm keeping pressure on the top here as well, just to make sure that if anything does move, I'm aware of it. So there we go. That, nice and snug. Everyone's a winner. So once we've done that, everything's nice and snug up. Watch your fingers, but what we want to do is we just want to be able to turn this to make sure nothing is getting in the way, nothing is stopping it, nothing's causing any problems. And as long as that's all good, you're golden. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of a rub down on these parts just to try and sort of brighten them up a little bit, but not overly necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so after all of those last few videos, we've finally done it. I've got a bit of old scrap wood here, which is just a bit of pallet wood. So I'm hoping there aren't any nails in it. I don't know what I've done with my metal detector. So we're just going to go without and hope that it's there's no nails in it. But we'll run this through the jointer first, and then we'll see how we get on. Okay. There we have it. It comes out with a nice, solid, clean piece of wood, and I have checked, I know what I've just done with it. Oh, there it is. I have checked, and it is nice and square as well, so that's good. Happy with how that's come out. I honestly think that it's running better than it ever has done before, so I'm pleased that I've done everything. Also, I did try it without the ear defenders. Don't recommend it, but when it was in its previous state, it really would make your ears bleed. It was so loud. But this, no, not so much. It is quieter. It is quieter, and it just seems to run better, which I think is a good thing. So I've learned a lot from doing these videos on this Titan thickness planer. All those lessons do apply to a bunch of other planers on the market, particularly the more budget orientated end. And all in all, I'm pleased with what I've done. Is it perfect? No. I could do the fence a little bit better, I guess, and a couple of other bits and bobs maybe. The sound insulation didn't work, but I think that could be done. I may look at this again in the future at some point, but for right now, all I want to do is I want to get back to making other things when I can come out here. So yeah, it's worked, it's been worthwhile, and hopefully it's been helpful to other people. So thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something along the way. Now I don't know if I'm going to edit the blades along with the fence. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. But there we go. Thanks very much. I'll stop waffling. Have a great day. Speak to you later. Bye bye.